Hi, Steve.
Hey, Jim.
So, about a week or so ago on your channel, you said something to the effect of, you know what? No one ever shows off the worst records in their collection. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I do because who in the heck wants to see that?
Well, apparently we do this week.
Oh God.
Welcome once again to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast. Each week, we two guys get together and we talk about records and music. This week, I think we're going to take this about to the extreme. Music.
Yeah. It's music. You know what? It's to the, each person's ears are a little bit different on what they hear.
They are indeed. My name's Jim and I own a record store.
And I'm Steve, a record collector.
I like to think I sell and listen to good music, but that's not always the case.
Well, there's oftentimes we buy an album and we go, I mean, isn't someone in charge of that place? That why would they allow this to ever come out? It's like, what are they thinking?
So if you have not guessed, the subject matter this week will be, well, music that's just not, well, how's the best way to put this, Steve? Good.
Yeah. It makes your ears bleed. It makes
Yes,
a lot of insanity.
We do recognize, of course, that music, like all art, is subjective, as you said. So we'll just upfront say, if we offend you, we're sorry, but come on, some of this stuff, come on. Yoko, really?
Yeah.
We'll try to be gentle.
Exactly. Jim, luckily, most of my real bad stuff got washed out with the flood and never got replenished.
We need to work on that. I've got...
People have been. There we go. Yeah, no, people have been taking care of me.
We'll take care of that. But before we get to this nonsense this week, as this is the Vinyl Community Podcast, lots of Vinyl Community channels like to show off their recent acquisitions. That's kind of the staple with what the VC is. People like to share their music, what they found, and see if they can entice others, like you and I, into buying. Hey, you got to have this. It's great. But so what kind of pickups did you get this week, sir? Anything good?
Well, the mailman had a busy week. He was, I think he looked really haggard by the end of the week. So, he has to get out his truck and walk up to my steps to keep dropping stuff off. So he's finding what the mailman in Midland had to go through all the time, or my mail person, I guess I should say. The first one, though, is a group VC inspired from Sam the Vinyl Douche, which is one of my all-time favorite channels. It's called The Motorist. And this is a very much a power pop album. Just came out this year. Great music. It is fantastic power pop. Sounds wonderful. This is really catchy. I think it could easily hit top 10 album of the year because it is so darn catchy. So
okay, then looking forward to the sample of that one.
Yes. Then I just received this. This is a group called Ocean. That's Ozean. It's an EP. And there's only 3 songs, and they were recorded in 1993. It was a shoegaze group, and they just broke up. I mean, they didn't last long. Whatever happened in the band, there's not a lot about them, but they did this EP. I don't think they didn't even put them out. I don't think, and these recordings have been found, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's an American shoegaze band from 93. All 3 tracks were excellent. I really, really like this one a lot.
But you have to enjoy that one because there's probably not going to be any more, is there?
Yeah. Yes, this is it. This is all you're going to ever get. So great pickup. Found this in a, there was a kind of a used bookstore, record store. It was like a half price books where I used to go to out here. Now I can't even think what to call it. I got a video coming up on it, but El Rapone and the Zydeco Express. It's like $2, but it's Zydeco, so I had to pick it up. Well, El Rapone is the brother of Queen Ida, which Queen Ida is the Zydeco queen of the San Francisco area, and that's her brother. And so it's a live album in Europe. Europe was really big, much bigger into Zydeco than they are in the States. The States, San Francisco was huge, Louisiana was huge, and that's it for the most part. Or Midland, Michigan, because of me. But, Europe really embraced Zydeco music, and so many albums were produced over there that the artists never released in the United States. I believe this one again released over in Europe. It's a UK. El Rapone, a live concert from the 80s. Very good. Really enjoyed it.
Did you recognize the artist's name before you saw that? Or
nope. I just saw Zydeco. Oh, yep. There we go. It's going to be a party. Zydeco's always a party. So it's going to be a
Zydeco party.
Yep. Picked this back up. I used to have. Now I brought it back. Paul Simon's Rhythm of the Saints. Did I really need to have it? Probably not. It's good. I liked his exploration into world music, but let's just figure that the one he did with African music is much better. But this does have great drumming in there. You do get that nice South American feel on some of it. So it was okay pickup. Okay. But I was in a record store here, and they had Aikido, and this is from like 1971, I think, or 73, something like that. And I think it was recorded in England, and there is some English musicians, but most of them are from Africa, and it is like funk. I mean, some hardcore funk is happening on here. You still have the African beat happening. I saw it on the wall and started bringing it up and go, what is this? And so he puts it on the turntable for me, like Radio Wasteland would do, to go, well, let's find out. And, I said, usually I buy a lot of Zamrock. Now, this is when then this other guy that was shopping goes, Zamrock, are you Steve? Well, yes.
Why, yes, I am.
I thought that might be you. I mean, but say the word Zamrock. I guess it's only two people: Dylan from Noble Records or me.
And you.
Yeah. So he put this on, and it's like, wow, this is awesome stuff. So I was pretty excited to pick that up. So really cool, very cool. And then also from him,
Ebibo?
Sound Machine.
Okay.
This is newer. And again, it's a lot of the African rhythms, but you have synthesizer going on, dance oriented. I like the sound of it. It sounded wonderful, very upbeat, kind of exciting music. Not funky so much as more dance oriented. So what the hey, I hadn't heard that. The shop owner is really big on this group, so I thought, well, give it to me, let's see what happens on it. So
cool.
That. And the final one, I had a friend of mine out of Canada who sends me files periodically to download, and I downloaded one from a gal named Tammy Nielsen out of New Zealand. And this it's country, but it's also rockabilly. And when she does rockabilly, it's excellent. I mean, it rocks, and it's very, very good. And then there's some kind of rock feel to it. She's been making albums for I don't know, I think since the aughts. And so I got another one I ordered in. So she does have a catalog out there. This one, I believe, was either 2022 or 2023. It doesn't say right on there. And yeah, I can't remember. But great voice, especially when she does the rockabilly. She has that Wanda Jackson type excitement and a thrill going on. So yeah, excited to get this. She does a song with Willie Nelson on here too, a duet with Willie.
Okay.
So everyone's trying to get those in as quick as they possibly can. So that's hey Willie, come on, can you make it in? Yeah, next month may not be good. Come on now. So good stuff. Very, very good. So yeah, that's it. It was busy.
You are quite the international this week.
Yeah, I guess so. We got Africa, UK, New Zealand. Yeah, it's all over the place.
Wow.
But you know that, Jim. I can't. I can't even peg what I listen to. I don't know.
That is you, man, and you're recognizable by the genre. Aren't you that guy, the Zamrock guy?
The Zamrock dude.
Very cool.
Well, what about you, Jim? I'm sure you had something.
I do. It's been a light week after last week's splurge with the bootlegs. I kind of tempered it down a little bit. We've talked about greatest hits albums before and the purpose that they serve, and you like a group, but you don't like a group enough to want to go out and seek out everything. But a greatest hits album is plenty. We had some stuff come through, and I picked up a Foreigner. I like Foreigner, but I'm not enough that I'm going to seek out the records. But oddly enough, I got records. In this case, this is their compilation greatest hits, and I've had this come through the store lots of times before. It's very cool. It's a gatefold release, but it's also got that jukebox feel with the die cut cover, so that when you pull it out, the inner sleeve matches up to give you that little jukebox feel. And
so you can be a jukebox hero.
Jukebox hero, indeed. So Foreigner is one of those groups for me that, greatest hits will suffice. If I'm in the mood for it, we'll throw that one on.
Yeah.
Good stuff, regardless.
Yeah, I have the first album. Actually, I got their second one, and then I didn't need them any further. They got the power ballads began coming out. And
Yep, absolutely. So this next one, I have to go. I've been aware of this for quite some time. It's originally released in '73. I got a little bit of a later '70s reissue on that, and that's Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells. And this, Discogs classifies that as rock, folk, world and country, prog rock, experimental, ambient. So they really try to run the gamut of describing what this is. But the prog rock guy in me does get a little bit of a kick out of this. And again, I've heard the song before. Everybody has heard this in one way, shape, or form. You're familiar with the song Tubular Bells. But I've never really had the album or given it a deeper listen. So we had a nice copy come through, and I had a couple of others. So this one I'll stick with a bit and see if it fits the mold for my other prog-ish interests, and we'll see where it goes. But good stuff.
I always liked side one. I just never really bothered with side two.
Once you get past that first cut, right?
Yeah, the Exorcist song.
Yep.
Which is that's all. It's the Exorcist song.
Yeah, that's right. Nice and spooky. Thirdly, don't give me any guff over this one, but I picked up another They Might Be Giants album. So
it's the completest in you, Jim. What can you do?
I know, and I think I've got one more coming next week. This is John Henry Demos from They Might Be Giants. It was released last year. I believe it was last year. I don't think there was an older one. No, 2018. I'm sorry, 2018 was the initial release. This vinyl version was kicked out last year, so I picked up a copy of that, and it is what it says. It's just demo versions of several TMBG songs, which again, it's just fun. It's good, solid fun, and as long as I guess I'm being a completist, I might as well dive into the demo record and see where that takes me.
Yeah, it's not your fault. I mean, it's just the way it is.
I'm weak. I don't know if I'm going to get typecast as that TMBG guy. If I go somewhere, I'm already that Rush guy or that Floyd guy. Are you that TMBG and Dead Milkman guy? No, can't be pigeonholed. But They Might Be Giants is one of those groups that it's not for everyone, is it?
It's true.
They aren't.
Yes.
You can listen to them and say, well, that's a fun song. And I really dig that one or two hits they had. Birdhouse in Your Soul, Don't Let's Start, Anna Ang. And then you start listening a little deeper on some of their other cuts and you're like, the heck is that? What are you listening to that is so absolutely bizarre?
Yeah.
You know, when we talked about soundtracks a few episodes back, I mentioned to you that for some time in the VHS era, when you could rent movies and the like, my friends referred to the movies that I would pick out as rated J. So they
Yeah.
were the cultish classic ones, the weird stuff. And so it stands to reason that some of my musical taste leans in that area. The stuff that's uniquely weird and oddly unlistenable in some cases. And so
Yeah.
when you started off your Sunday show a week or so back by saying, you know what, we're going to listen to some crappy music today. And then you said, no one ever says that in the VC. Why would you want to talk about crappy music? And I called you out on that.
Yep. Yep. Let's talk about crappy music. Oh, okay.
Okay, then. Now yours is a little challenging because you said your much larger collection in the flood of now 4 years ago took all of that away from you,
It
and you
did.
just said you did
Yeah.
not want to replace.
Nope. There's certain things you just don't need to replace. And then some stuff that I did get that I really didn't like. Well, when I moved, I traded it in for credit.
Yeah, thanks. Your store.
Well, where did I
Some
find most
people
of
are
my
like, "What is
listenable
this?"
stuff at, Jim? Radio
I think
Wasteland.
when we talk about stuff that's in our collection, and I do have a couple of things. If we get to it, I'll show that's here at the store. You know, like the Fetus or the Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
Which is always challenging to sell, but you know, it's fun to have and fun to make fun of. But I want to preface this again, our discussion today. I know that really it's in the ear of the beholder. And what I say is bad music and not great music to me, to my ears, somebody else is going to say, "Are you kidding me, man? I love that." And I get it. It's the same thing with you. You're digging on me, oh, Rush and Geddy Lee's voice, or They Might Be Giants gets a little weird, and your
Captain
Zamrock
Beefheart,
fixation. Yeah. Yeah.
Trout Mask. But
Yep.
people
Oh,
love it.
yep.
But they love
Beefheart,
it.
Zappa, all that. I've got some Zappa in here to show. And that just got me thinking. It's like, okay, there is music that I have and you have that you're probably saying, okay, why is it? Why is it do I have this? I enjoy it on some level, otherwise I wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Maybe, or you just keep it because it's so bizarre that you want to say, look how weirdly bizarre this record is that I've got.
That kind of goes on a few of these. Yeah, definitely so, because it's just like, I don't know why. Only reason I would play it if someone came over and they go, "Do you have something really weird?" Yeah.
Why,
Try it.
yes, I have a stack. Let me show one. I know because this is in both of our collections, and I know you've been looking, but I still do have an OG. But the title of this, I think it sums it all up. It's the Cramps, bad music for bad people. I don't think I'm a bad person, but sometimes I like bad music. And the Cramps to me kind of typifies that. When I picked up this album, and I've had this album since, came out in this is a compilation, so it came out in 81
Yep.
ish, around about there. I picked this up, I think, this copy somewhere around 1983 or 1984, simply because the cover enticed me, the title enticed me, and once I got listening to it, it's not bad. But it was also something that my friends who were listening to, Van Halen and Rush were like, I don't get it. Why are you listening to this? And I said, well, it's fun. But this
Yeah.
is one that I think sticks out for me and kind of typifies this subgenre, if you will, that crosses all genres of
Mhm.
music. That's see, what does it come through? There was a quote from the television show Community when they were joking about Nicolas Cage. Is it music that's so bad it's good, or is it just good music that we don't get and we think it's bad?
And that's a Grail album for me.
This is a great. I do know this. Yep.
Yes, because it's
You
just like, I still haven't found an OG of it. It's just, whoa.
have to keep looking. You thought we were there once, but yeah,
Yep.
that one's been in my possession now for well over 40 years.
Yep.
Wow. So what do you have that typifies this? Why do you have that, Steve?
All right. Well, Again, bought at Radio Wasteland Records.
Uh-oh.
Gods. Contact High with the Gods.
Is that G-O-D-Z?
G-O-D-Z. And this is, I mean, this is the album, and I had an actual video where I showed 2 unlistenable albums, and this I was able to make that list. And I mean, when you have a song and the lyrics are like sounding like 2 cats having sex, you know you're in for something special. And song Na Na Na, White Cat Heat, Squeak, 1 + 1 =? It's I think these guys they work for the label, if I remember someone telling me, and so they're just kind of given free reign to do whatever, and that's what you get. This is tough, man. Very tough.
Oh, yet it sits in your collection.
There it is in the collection, because that's the one someone wants to hear something really weird. There it is.
That's there. And we've talked before. I mean, even on the Sundays before we started this show and recording our conversations on Sundays about Frank Zappa. And you mentioned Captain Beefheart, and I think I look behind me and I see some of the West Coast Pop Experiment stuff and a Moondog. I just happen to have those displayed for the past week or two. For me, Frank Zappa is an artist that I like until I don't like something. And the songs of his and the albums, I can't even say albums, because there's something like Freak Out or Joe's Garage where there's just some absolutely great songs on there. And then you flip it over and you're like, why am I listening to this? But I do have some decent Zappa in my collection. The Weasels Rip My Flesh. You get this one. Oh, you do too, strictly because of the cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the music some, and I mentioned Joe's Garage. I do have Joe's Garage 1 and then 2 and 3. And some of the songs on these they're excellent. And I just really, really dig them. And then others, it's just, I scratch my head.
So you found an excellent song on here? Because I'm still looking. I haven't found that song yet. I bought that in that one collection, that went down the basement, and I called you. Hey,
yes,
my press. But I thought, Frank said, hey, this is a highly rated album. It is. And people will say this is one of the best Zappa. So I thought, I'm going to buy that. And then I put it on, I go, huh? What?
So you're saying that you have problems with a song called Prelude to the Afternoon of a Sexually Aroused Gas Mask?
Yeah, I sure do.
Toads of the Short Forest.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's Zappa. Are we supposed to have that in our collection? We're supposed to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine. Well, you know what? I still have it. I did not trade that in to you or send it in. So for whatever reason, I think I just forgot about it. So.
Well, again, the cover is what kind of brings you into it. You're thinking that's a fun one, but I'll tell you what, Zappa fans, the folks that love Zappa love Frank Zappa. More power to them.
They do. And there's channels devoted to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's songs that I like. There's albums that I like, and there's others. In Joe's Garage, the full slate of the 3 albums, volumes rather, 2 albums and 3 volumes. You get songs, of course, like Joe's Garage or Catholic Girls, and I don't know. You like it, and then you don't. I think it's mood dependent for me. How's that sound?
Some people have sent me some Zappa to try to help me, push me through a door to maybe get me to like Zappa. And I didn't mind those albums because they had more of a song structure. Mm-hmm. I think you could say normal song structure that, okay, I get it. And I don't mind those albums at all, but there's just a lot when it gets bizarre. I don't got time.
For me too, you get the super experimental stuff, the stuff where they're just up there kind of banging pots and pans, playing whatever. Yeah. To me, that is almost a direct representation of the more experimental stuff that you would get from the likes of Miles Davis. Mm-hmm. It's not that far of a reach to get from some of that really far out Miles Davis or some of the other jazz artists that have taken that experimental route in the 60s to the early 70s, Mothers and Zappa.
Yeah, the free jazz.
Yes.
Well, I got another one. I found at Radio Wasteland Records.
Oh no.
Metal
Yes,
Metal Machine Music, and
I
again,
remember
this
that.
was on my unlistenable. It's a question of art, and there are some people that really like this. They like to put it on. A lot of them just say, something in the background, but it is just 2 albums of feedback and distortion and just kind of it was his way of flipping the finger at the record company because he wanted to do things a certain way that they weren't doing it. So he's all, I'll give you an album.
And that you're the story you've told on your channel before is that's kind of a contractually obligated.
Yes.
Let's just see if I put out this big pile of crap if they press it, and they did, and they did.
And
They
they
had
did,
to.
and they pulled it. I think someone higher up go, what did you guys do?
Somebody lost their job over that, or at least a promotion.
So it's like this mythical album. And so
Yes.
I own it because it's just, it's something you don't ever see. It's rarely do you see it out there. And for many people, it goes, Metal Machine music. It's like just something you have to experience once in life. But
I remember when that came through the store, I mentioned it to you, and you were like, "Yeah, I know that one very well."
Uh-huh.
This is not in my collection. This is sitting in the store. This came in that punk collection several years back, and there were several other albums from the artist, and I'm going to pronounce it Foetus or Fetus if you want. And I remember when these came, you and I were like, "What? Okay, what is this? It looks interesting. What kind of music is it?" And it is quite literally some of the songs the dude's banging a hammer against a steel beam in some cases. So not too far off from your Lou Reed stuff.
No, between that and we listened to early Swans.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, I mean, I tried to like it. I really did. I thought, okay, let's see what we can do. And it just wasn't happening.
It wasn't punk and it's not industrial. It falls in this just maybe it's construction ambience
or deconstruction music.
Deconstruction music. You mentioned the Lou Reed album is, people say, just put it on in the background while you're doing something. Well, what are you doing that you enjoy that as background music? Like you work in a slaughterhouse of some sort.
I have this one, Joanne Newsom, and she's a harp player, and she has a voice that I find it's very high, almost grating. I mean, it's just like, oh wow, that's not good. And I mean, the music, it's a 2-album set, so you can have double the pleasure. And I know Joanna Newsom. And so, I thought, okay, I'll buy that and let's see what it is. And wow, did I hate this? There's just zero. I mean, I listened to it a few different times to find out, well, there must be something good. So far, I have failed in that quest to find that, but you never know. Maybe next year I'll find it. I don't know.
If you hit your head once or twice cleaning a pool, maybe you'll
enjoy
it a little more. I'm glad when you said the voice was just so high it was grating that I didn't see a Rush album pop up there. I don't want to call this a gimmick album, and this is another one that I have quite literally had in my collection for 40 plus years. And this, you can see it's a cheap album. It's called Never Mind the Sex Pistols. Here's Bongos, Bass, and Bob. And it's got some radio calls on it. It's my old station. They were getting rid of it, so I pulled it in. If you look at this a little more closely, I'll call it up. This is Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller. He actually had a short musical career. Now, musically, what this is perfectly described on the cover. It's bongos and bass, and I don't see a guy named Bob on here, but it probably works better bongos, bass, and Bob than bongos, bass, and Penn. But it is quite. It's an upright bass and a guy playing bongos and maybe a little bit of guitar, and they just sing absolutely nonsense song. My favorite on here though is one called "Temporarily Like Bob Dylan," where one of the other guys in the band does a very poor Bob Dylan impression and just makes up nonsensical lyrics for 3 minutes. It's an absolutely fun one. And there's another one on here called "Can't Grow a Beard before she retired. I had sent my dental hygienist. There's a song called Oral Hygiene that talks about the proper way to take care of your teeth. So, but again, that's just kind of, it's a fun one and it's an oddity. And it's one of those ones that's like, well, I can honestly say that I don't know how many other people in the world will have a Bongos, Bass and Bob album in their collection. So does that make me uniquely weird?
Then this will fit into how many other people will have this. This was given to me because of the name of the group, the Carlsons. From Radio Wasteland. Okay, folks. So let's first start with the outfits. You know you're pretty much screwed on this album, okay? Now, let's break down those outfits. We got Larry here has an accordion, okay? So now we got gospel music, and there's an accordion. Not only that, we have Randy and Maury both have saxophones. So one accordion, two saxophones, gals in prairie dresses, and guys in polyester blue suits playing gospel. This is polka gospel.
Polka gospel.
Polka gospel.
And your namesake.
And my namesake. And I'm pretty sure I'm not related. And if so, I wouldn't admit it. But yeah. Dorothy,
I like
Donna, and Sherry.
I like the back cover note on the top. If you turn that back around, the Carlsons, it's no secret. Maybe it should have been kept that way.
It should have been. Yeah, this is it's bad. It's real bad.
I also, and we'll have to call this, I didn't bring it out, but I also have a gospel album from a group called the Gleasons.
Hey, look at that.
I forgot to drag that out, but yeah, that's in my collection again for the namesake reason.
Yep, the namesake. There we go. We just polka gospel.
Can I go punk for a second?
You bet.
I'm going to go Michigan punk for a second here. And I know one of these, I don't know if you've pulled it for today's discussion or not, because I feel like I talked you into this. This is punk. It's rockabilly. This is Country Bob and the Blood Farmers. And I recommended it to you. And afterwards, I'm thankful that you still call me a friend.
Yeah, look at this. Hey, listen to this. There you go, folks. There's a record store owner. Hey, try this. And then later on, God, this thing's utter crap.
It is. Well, we were at that record show in the Detroit area, and I came, and it's Detroit punk, but it is so obnoxious. Maybe that's why I like it. And there are some songs on here that I wouldn't even dare try playing in the store in the background, even if I did have an extra copy of this for sale, because the cover of Dang Me, the Roger Miller song, Wait, Dang Me, you ought to take her open, is great. I love that one. But then you get into things like Bowl Full of Noses, Honky Tonk, Can't Say That Word, and many others. This one, and there's something about Detroit punk, obviously, because this is another one. I've had this for a while, but I remember playing this on the radio back in the 80s when I was doing college radio up north. And this is an album called Golly Wobblers from Hell. And the name of the band is Snake Out. They're another Detroit I don't know, psychobilly punk, if you will. It's not quite, it's like a cross between the Cramps and the Dead Milkmen.
Okay.
Same type of thing. And same type of stuff on here. I Was a Teenage Goiter is one of their ones. There's a song called Fudge Packer because they're from Michigan. So I'm assuming that they worked up on Mackinac Island. I'll stop there. It's obnoxious, just obnoxious punk. Actually, and now that I say that, I think I do have a copy of this for sale in the store still.
Another one,
the Blood Farmers. Yeah. But I was introduced to Snake Out. They were on one of those samplers, a Detroit music punk sampler, and they had a song called Gandhi, but the entire song is just talking about peace and love, and then he screams, "F you, I ain't Gandhi." So, do I play these often? No, maybe once in a great while I'll throw them on, and then it's got to be when no one's at the store and when I'm not at home and Kim's not listening.
Yeah.
So, but there's your Michigan punk, and it's obnoxious, but I don't think it's great music. It's just funny.
Yep. Well, my next one, someone sent me this one also, and sealed. It's still sealed because I just don't think I could do it. I mean, I don't have the fortitude, I think, to handle this. And I don't know what's it even called? The Sounds of Heritage, Purest Praise. I don't know. I'm just looking at all these people dressed like you did in the 70s for prom. Well, it is probably from the 70s by the hairdos. I mean, there's Farrah Fawcett hairdos going on here. And then they're all here. We got a little something. It doesn't say anything really about them, but they're from all over. In fact, one's from Omaha, Nebraska, but they're from all over the U.S., mostly from California. But I just can't do it. We have Grace Melody, the God's Care Melody, Holy is the Lord medley. I said melody, medleys. These are all medleys. Yeah.
And the thing is too, if you open it though, you're going to ruin its resaleability.
Yes, that is. I am waiting for this thing to take off, baby.
Keep that sealed, and I'm astounded that didn't show up here.
I am too. It just, sometimes, Jim, I won't even give you certain things.
That's good to know. I've got one more Michigan one to show, and then I got a couple of honorable mentions here. And this one, I don't want to say is terrible music. It's just not music that you would want to listen to. Detroit Tiger great from the 1968 World Series champ Tigers, Denny McLain at the organ. And this, riding his fame as a great pitcher for the Tigers, Denny McLain put out an album of organ music. Hurdy-gurdy man, don't give up. There's a song on here called Extra Innings. And you can actually see Denny on the back, playing his organ. So now this one, I've had a couple copies before. It's autographed. He did not autograph this for me. I had an autographed copy come in. But you see best wishes from Denny McLain at the organ. But again, because of the Michigan connection and the just the sheer uniqueness of something like this, I'm going to keep it in the collection. But I don't think I'll
whatever excuse you want, man. That's
okay. Yeah, it's all on me. Denny McLain at the organ.
Yeah,
there's a lot of those around, actually.
Yeah, I bet there is. I could. What the? What? Well, first off, you bought it. Someone bought it when it came out because it's Denny McLain, but an organ, huh?
And somebody had him autograph it.
Yeah, and autograph it. And yeah, all right. I'm sure he was excited.
Oh yeah.
I bought this. I was in Maine, and for it indoor mean. I bought this a number of years ago. I was in Maine for a meeting, and across from our hotel was a record store. So I go in, I go, hey, any recommendations? And they gave me this. And I think they gave this to me because they wanted to get rid of it. Hey,
that's what we do. That's how we work.
Yeah, this guy's an out-of-towner. He's not coming back. So there you go, bud. It's considered neoclassical, kind of even neo-folk, they call it. It's I don't know, it sucks. I mean, that's all I can tell you. It's just this is boring. I mean, it's just like, I guess you could sleep to it, but I'm afraid I'd even have freaking nightmares. I really don't like it whatsoever. And I have found nothing on here as a saving grace. I mean, it's not like putrid. It doesn't scare me like Polka Gospel does, but yeah, I don't know. And so, and Forte in Dorme. Are we giving samples to all the crappy albums on Spotify, Jim?
We're going to attempt to. If I can find that one, I will. I forgot to mention that we do put up those playlists, and boy, this one's going to be a challenge.
I just didn't know if you were doing that to people, how cruel you really are. But
well,
okay,
I think what I'll do is if I put the playlist up of most of the things that we're talking about today, I'm going to go back in and check our stats. And so all of a sudden, how in the heck did we lose all of these subscribers? So, I've got a couple of honorable mentions. And this is kind of tough. And the reason I have these is you'll guess why I have these. I have an album from Roger Waters and an album from David Gilmour, but they're cooperating with other people. The Roger Waters one is with someone named Ron Geeshin, and it's a soundtrack called The Body, and it's ambient music. Let me call this up here. I had some info on it. Originally released in 1970. Discogs calls it Musique Concerte Avant-garde. And I know I said that completely and totally incorrectly. And it's avant-garde. And because it's Waters, it's not terrible, but then there's some stuff that's just what? And some of Roger Waters' stuff initially after leaving Floyd is difficult to listen to. Okay, the pros and cons of Hitchhiking is all right. Radio Chaos, it's good. There's a couple good songs. But he just, I don't know. And then the Orb from Gilmour, this one was, I think, 2010. I believe 2010. Yep. And this is another experimental ambient album. And Gilmour just kind of rolls with it. And the other artist on here, the other artist is the Orb. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or is it Metallic Spheres? So, it is. The other artist is the Orb. I'm sorry. Metallic Spheres is the name of the album. And it's just listed as ambient music. And so this is just, I think, an excuse for Gilmour just to kind of jam on spacey tunes. And I got them because of the Floyd connection. Obviously, you want to get some of that stuff in here with the Body, but they are not go-tos in my collection by any means.
The last one I have, someone had to have shipped this, but it's in great shape. I will say, I would give this a near mint. Chipper at the Sugar Bowl, Chip Fisher. What the? I don't know. For 50s, obviously, high fidelity, but they have Sugar Bowl rock on here. Oh, yeah, Louise. I love your ponytail. Yeah, that's great. Young-hearted little darling. There's no way I ever would have bought this. So someone had to give that to me for kicks because I got a number of albums. They just put, this is a joke album. Honest.
It's like, this is wink.
Yeah, I don't know how this didn't get to Radio Wasteland for trade-in for a quarter. So I mean, there was some stuff I brought to Jim. I just said, don't even give me credit for it. I just don't want to move it.
I should have just given you the bags to put them right in the mystery bags for me and save the work.
But this is an original.
There you go.
It was not played. Poor Chip Fisher. This thing was not even played by previous owners.
So that's why it's in such good shape.
Yeah.
I have got one to wrap up with, and this is the piece de resistance, the record to end all records of bad music in my collection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually very proud of this. When I found this, came through a year or so ago, I went, cool, because I had heard of it before, and I thought that I'd seen it before. It's a compilation album. Steve, I present to you the Rhino Brothers. So before Rhino, this is the Rhino Brothers present the world's worst records. So it is, you see right in the back, he's got to wear some a hazmat suit when he's handling this. This is fun stuff. The groups that I've never really heard of, maybe a couple that I have. The Nova is doing a song called The Crusher. I already found that one on Spotify, so that will make the playlist. Most of them are covers, but then there's going to be one called Kazooed on Classics. And this is by the Temple City Kazoo Orchestra. And I actually had a full album by the Temple City Kazoo Orchestra in my grasp at one point, but my daughter Katie snagged it before I could. We were at a record show, and she promptly put that in her collection. So the apple doesn't fall too far, apparently. But the Temple City Kazoo Orchestra, mostly known for their covering Led Zeppelin with nothing but kazoos. So you want to talk about an annoying music. The original Fluffy, which became a staple on the Dr. Demento show. In fact, a lot of these are Dr. Demento fueled on here as well. There's a cover, and this one's not on Spotify, so I'd have to find it on YouTube. It's a cover of the Stooges' "I Want to Be Your Dog"
Mhm.
by a group that calls themselves the Seven Stooges. It's hideous.
Wow.
So, Kinko the Clown, Surfin' Tragedy, Boogie Woogie Amputee from Barnes and Barnes. This sums it up for me. There's sometimes you got to listen to bad music, and in this case, some of the world's worst records.
I don't know, Jim. I've just never had that where I says I really need to listen to some bad music. I mean, willingly. Now those albums,
Willingly.
wasn't will. I mean, I just what is this? Okay.
This one, by the way, this came from 1983, early in Rhino's career. Before they were picked up by Warner, I believe.
Okay.
And I love the special. There's a special liner note in the back, tons of liner notes explaining what this music is and why it's not good. But the note on the back says, "Special note: while every attempt has been made to present these songs in their, pardon the expression, best form, many of the original tapes were lost and had to be reconstructed from the best available original discs." So,
Wow.
but yeah, referred to as the Rhino Brothers. That's an interesting just throwback to that label.
Yeah.
So, do you have some favorite? We can ask our listeners this, but I would have to say least favorite albums in your collection. Music that when you bring the album out to show it to folks when you're showing off your record collection, you grin like I do and say, "Look at this crappy record that I've got." Or do you hide them from people when you're showing? So, like, I don't want people to know I've got that. Where do you stand on that? Do you show it off, Steve?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Unless they really said, "Give me something that I've never heard before." Oh,
In this case, let me unseal this gospel album.
yes, yeah,
Because I've never heard it before either.
yeah. We'll listen to it
Apparently no one else
together.
has. It's an interesting phenomenon because again, it comes down to personal taste.
Yeah.
There's stuff in here that I think is funny, but I don't really like to listen to, but I have it because it makes me chuckle.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then there's stuff that's like, why do I have this? Zappa in Point. Why do I have this? Well, I think I'm supposed to as a collector.
And I used to be, I used to buy a lot of stuff because of that. I look and go, well, this is one of the most important albums. And I'd buy it and go, I don't get it. I mean, why is this important? You'd read about it and go, huh? But to others, yes, very important. Yes. I don't get it, but we're all different, aren't we?
Sometimes we're not meant to get it. Again, art is in the ear of the beholder in this case. So yeah, if you have some favorite things, let us know. You can always head over to the Two Guys Talking About Records Facebook page and interact with us. You can comment on the YouTube channel, and I will do my marked best, Steve, to put together a playlist and see if we can scare off what few viewers we still have left after talking about music.
Yeah.
So the next time you start off a Sunday show on your channel, try to avoid challenging me like this.
Yes, there we go. Okay.
Whoever would talk about the crappiest music in their collections. Challenge accepted, Steve.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Okay, so that is going to be it for today's episode of Two Guys Talking About Records. As always, like I said, check out the description for the Spotify playlist link. I'll do my best to get to it today, and we'll see if we can get that on there as well. But in the meantime, I think that's about it. Anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, sir. You have a great week, Jim.
I do have one final question.
Yes.
Since you pulled all of those out of your collection for today's discussion, what's the chance that everything's going back in the shelf? Everything's going back in the shelf.
I will tell you, about half of those were in the closet. They're going back in the closet in a box.
There we go. All right. Well, Steve, you have a great week. As always, great talking to you. Folks, again, thank you so much for checking us out. My name is Jim, and I own a record store, but maybe people are questioning my sanity on some of these.
I am, but I'm Steve, and I'm a record collector, and I really do try just to collect the good stuff, but I do screw up.
Have a great week, Steve. We'll talk to you later.
You too. Bye, everyone.